So the Los Angeles Lakers has a secret plan, and it's just been revealed over the past couple of days. The trade deadline just came and went. The Lakers did absolutely nothing at all, and it seems as if like the franchise just doesn't have no idea what they're doing. But it's a possibility that they are moving in a very strategic manner, because instead of trying to settle for a DeJounte Murray or another role player, they potentially could get an even better star in the upcoming summer. As there are now been multiple reports claiming that Trey Young out of Atlanta could be demanding a trade in the upcoming offseason, and his likely landing spot could be the Los Angeles Lakers. As Jovan out in The Athletic decided to allude to the fact that the Lakers view Trey Young as a third star who could help push for a championship now, but also bridge a gap between the future and the new era alongside Anthony Davis. Young, who is also represented by Clutch Sports. For those who don't know, Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, LeBron James, they all kind of intertwine with one another, and is also likely to be a Los Angeles Lakers #1 target in the offseason. The Lakers can trade upwards to 3 first-round picks and 4 swaps this offseason, which is very, very, very pivotal. And also, Kendrick Perkins himself decided to give us a little bit of a cryptic message a couple of days ago as well.
I can't reveal who that superstar is because I'm not Adam Schefter or Adrian Wojnarowski. That's not my job. And they trust me not to add this, information out on who this player is going to be. But if the Lakers just stand pat, they have another superstar on the way this offseason. Then we could revisit this conversation next year.
I mean, I don't necessarily love what just happened there, because now...
How does that superstar play with LeBron?
Yeah,
I think they mesh well together.
Or
yeah, they'd be good.
Well, let me tell you this. This superstar actually is the perfect fit, not only for LeBron, but
Mike
it's
Miller.
a match made in heaven. It's a match made in heaven for Anthony Davis.
So normally, I don't really put too much credence into what Kendrick Perkins says, because a lot of his reporting is inconsistent, and it's been definitely hearsay from the rumor mill. And honestly, a lot of people could have pieced this together. You didn't really necessarily need an inside report. But a lot of things that the Lakers have been doing, especially post-trade deadline or deciding not to do anything at the deadline, kind of does make a lot more sense for what they potentially could be doing in the upcoming offseason. Now, of course, as a Laker fan, I have to put it out there, I have a little bit of a bias when it comes to reporting on this. But again, a lot of this actually makes sense. When you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they viewed their options at the deadline and believe that if the best that they can do is get DeJounte Murray, is that really going to be enough? And more importantly, in the upcoming offseason, because of the Stepien rule, they'll now have more draft capital to move off of. So just moving off of one draft pick to try to get a quick fix now may not be the best situation long term, which is why, and it gives a great explanation to why they decided not to do anything this deadline whatsoever. Sure, this season may not be quote unquote maximized, but if you're willing to maximize the year after that, and then after that, and after that, and the several years beyond, it definitely makes sense to sacrifice short-term results for long-term outcomes, especially if you're able to bridge the gap between AD and LeBron and AD and another superstar that you can put alongside him. Now, why exactly do we believe that it's Trey Young? As I reported on this channel, and I think a lot of people have talked about this in the NBA community, the Atlanta Hawks, they have been a dumpster fire. They has been desperate. They have been disastrous, in large part because this is a team that is moving nowhere fast. At the All-Star break, the Hawks have a record of 24-31 with a top 10 offense, but defensively, not only have they been getting worse as the years have progressed, but so far this year, they're literally the worst in the NBA, which is certainly odd because the whole reason of why they brought in DeJounte Murray a few years back was to fix that concern, and they've been going in the opposite direction. Not only that, over the years throughout the Trey Young era, as young as it has been, no pun intended, they've already moved off of several different coaches, and Quinn Snyder, who is a really, really good coach, still has not been able to solve this problem either. So now you have to start to ask yourself, how many more years do we have of Trey Young being in Atlanta before the Hawks decide to just pull the trigger because they realize that they don't have as many resources possible to maximize or do something of significance to make sure that Trey Young can stay long term, because his contract will be coming up soon as well. How soon, if you are wondering? Well, after this season, he only has 3 years left under his contract, and I do believe that the Hawks went into the trade deadline, tried to ship around DeJounte Murray, and realized that they really weren't going to get much of significance for him. They looked at the rest of their roster, and it's not really much else that's on that team either. So if you weren't able to get that much for DeJounte Murray, and you're probably not going to get that much for anyone else on the team, then again, you're kind of at the dead end. You're at the end of the road. You don't really have that many more moves to make, so it is a possibility that they could be looking to just turn the whole team upside down, have a fire sale, move off of all all these assets because they know they're not going to be able to maximize the last 2 to 3 years that Trey Young has in Atlanta. And then on the other side, when you look at the Lakers, next year, D'Angelo Russell will be on an expiring contract. Rui's contract is also very, very palatable. But more importantly, LeBron could be coming off of the books as well if he decides to opt out and restructure his deal moving forward, which will also give the Lakers a lot of financial flexibility if they decide to move in that direction. Add in 3 first-rounders and 4 pick swaps, and quite frankly, outside of a team willing to offer an even younger player for Trey Young, I don't really see how another organization can really compete with that type of an offer, especially a team that Trey Young would want to go to. And even listening to what Perkins was saying and reading in between the lines, and let's hope that it's true, it all still makes sense and it correlates to who Trey Young is as a player. Perfect fit next to LeBron. Trey Young is that three-point shooter, floor spacer, ball handler, something that LeBron has been complaining about for the better part of the latter half of his career, which I think is going to be great to put alongside him. And also a great fit alongside Anthony Davis, a perfect one as well, because AD needs that player who can utilize him as a lob threat. Throw him the ball, go get it, be a better passer and playmaker than everyone else that's really on the Lakers that's not named LeBron. And beyond the LeBron era, because like it or not, it is coming to a conclusion. He's getting up there in age, regardless if he leaves a team or he just flats out retires. That is going to come. The Lakers have to put themselves in a great situation to make sure when that day happens that they can make the proper transition and shift in a direction that still makes them competitive. And those are all things that Trey Young can provide for the Lakers. Now, personally, how I feel about it, I really don't know how true this really is. In large part because the Hawks, though I do believe they are going to blow it up or they're trying to restructure this team around Trey Young one more time, I do believe they are going to try to give it at least another year or 2 attempts before they start to panic and pull the trigger and try to trade him off to another team. Also, as a Laker fan, I know for a fact there's a such thing as a Laker tax. So when you're getting someone of the caliber of Trey Young, who's a top 15 player in my opinion, at worst top 20, normally that comes with a pretty steep and hefty penny for the Los Angeles Lakers, especially when you're talking about a player who still would have 3 years left on his deal. So Trey Young, yes, I do believe at one point in the near future, we're going to have serious conversations about where he's going to go, because I don't believe that the Atlanta Hawks are maximizing him whatsoever, and they're starting to run out of options of what they can do for the roster in hopes to convince him to stay long term. But also, I just don't believe that right now makes the most sense. But what I do believe makes the most sense right now, or at least this upcoming off season, is Donovan Mitchell. Now, D-Mitch this season is having a really, really good year, averaging 28 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting splits of 47, 36, and 86% from the free throw line. He is easily one of the best shot creators in the NBA, one of the best three-pointers in the league as well, and he's a young athletic guard that puts a lot of pressure on the defense, something that this team desperately needs, and something that the Lakers were trying to address also at the deadline, so that makes a lot of sense as well. Now, he's not the same passer and playmaker that Trey Young is. However, at age 27, he still fits in this timeline that is a perfect window of maximizing this last year or 2 left of LeBron alongside AD, as well as running out another 5 to 6 more seasons alongside Anthony Davis. And more importantly, he fits from an archetype playing style standpoint for both of those needs as well, because he's going to be another scorer, another three-point shooter, a floor spacer, a ball handler who fits alongside really well in the perimeter with LeBron to alleviate a lot of those concerns, but also would be amazing in a pick and roll situation with AD as well. So all of those things actually make a lot of sense. And for me, the bigger reason why I actually believe that Donovan Mitchell should be the target over Trey Young is because it's much more realistic, in large part because of their contract situation. Like I said with Trey, he still has 3 more years left on his deal. When it comes to D. Mitch, next year is the last guaranteed season under his contract. Very similar to the situation he was out in Utah with as well. So now that's probably not going to work out in the postseason settings. He's going to be upset, and he's going to look around him and say, hey man, this team is really good, but not good enough. I'm already 27, going to be 28 by the beginning of next season. I need to maximize these years that I have, especially because this roster just isn't anywhere near close to it. And on top of that, I only have 1 more guaranteed year left on my deal. I don't believe that y'all are going to do the best for me in Cleveland, so I'm just going to demand a trade and move somewhere else that I want to be. And then the Lakers are going to be a really good option for him, not only because once more with 3 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps, and some flexible contracts that they can give to the Cavs, but more importantly, if you are D. Mitch, what team will provide that type of opportunity for you and is that great of a fit alongside the other two stars you have on the roster. Now, to be fair, I do believe Miami kind of fits that bill as well with both Jimmy and Bam, and they could give up some players like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, who I do believe are going to be more valuable in the system around Darius Garland and those two bigs out in Cleveland. So to be fair to Miami, I do believe they have a really good option as well. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to what Donovan Mitchell wants, because of course there's not going to be any team that's going to be hyper competitive on receiving D Mitch if he could just potentially could leave in the following offseason. So if you are the Los Angeles Lakers, you do present yourself for a much better situation for Donovan Mitchell, who, as a sidebar, I actually do believe is better than Trey Young as a player. Trey Young may actually be a better fit for the Lakers because he's going to maximize and really open up a lot of things for AD with a lob threat, because he's a much better passer and playmaker for Donovan. But as a player, I do think Donovan Mitchell is slightly better than Trey Young. Nevertheless, though, when you are Donovan Mitchell, you look at your options. 1 year left on your deal, potentially going to be upsetting in the postseason, because I don't really think the Cavs are a true contending team, despite the fact that they've been on a ridiculous run. And if you look at your options, Miami does provide you a lot of those things, but I think if you have the opportunity to play alongside Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and then get to go through the second half of your career playing alongside AD while being a main focal point offensively, and then also you get to play in LA, you get to play for the Lakers. In all honesty, I think over anything else, you pick that option. And then if that also doesn't work out, Kyrie Irving is also going to be available as well. He's in a very similar situation out in Dallas where he only has one more guarantee year on his contract. If he doesn't feel like coming back, he could kind of force his way out of that situation and go to a team that he actually wants to go to. And there's been constant conversation around Kyrie going to the Lakers. So I think he fits that same bill as well. But Donovan Mitchell, slightly younger, I think is going to have a much longer career in prime because of his age and also the fit of him not being as injury prone as Kyrie has been throughout his career. So as a Laker fan, I do like Donovan Mitchell slightly better than Kyrie as well. But nevertheless, when it comes to the Lakers, I just had to report on this, bro. I actually think for a team that got a lot of bashing, a lot of criticism, and me, myself, I was a bit skeptical of what they were doing, but I understood that at the deadline, if there really weren't that many viable options, sometimes the best thing for you to do is sit back and wait. And the Lakers sitting back, waiting for their options to open up a little bit more in the offseason where you have more draft capital to trade, might have actually been the best decision that they actually could have made at the deadline, which is to do nothing whatsoever. But yo, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is this a whole bunch of malarkey from the Lakers organization as always, or is it a bunch of rumor mill, or is there a lot of legs coming behind this conversation? Because I do believe that both Trey Young and Donovan Mitchell, they're not going to stay on the teams that they're on for any extended period of time, especially because I think both of those organizations are going to fail them in some capacity, or at least not live up to the expectations. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell. If you missed my last video, make sure you go check it out. It's on the screen right here. And until then, I'll see you later. Peace.